This week, you will be identifying educational uses for Microsoft Excel and adding free web-based resources for students and parents. Resources for these learning outcomes are posted in the guided exercise assignment area. This lecture will guide you through the details of your individual post of suggestions, the grading criteria, and suggest a process for reaching consensus among the team. Most importantly, remember to post your individual contribution within the availability time for your team. You chose your team based on the time you had available to study. Honor your team's time. If your team is available on the weekends, you may want to agree to post your contribution no later than Saturday evening so that the team's response can be posted to the group's journal space by Sunday at midnight. In this week's post to your team, you will make suggestions for the following: technology resources that support students in your subject area. For example, if Mrs. Pierce is a high school Spanish teacher, you may want to add a link to flashcards with Spanish vocabulary. Or, if Mrs. Pierce is a third grade teacher, you may want to link to a site to help students practice multiplication facts. The resources should be free, and a note explaining the resource to students and parents should also be available in parent, kid-friendly language. 2 educational uses for Excel. Create or find a resource for students or parents that uses the Excel software application. The example on this slide is a gradebook. If you choose to do something like this, feel free to make up as many fictitious students as needed to convey your idea. There are lots of technology resources on the internet. For a parent who wants to support their child academically, finding good resources can be overwhelming. However, as the child's classroom teacher, a parent would feel more confident in the legitimacy of the resource if it was recommended by the teacher. When I was raising my own school-age kids, I often asked the classroom teacher for advice and recommendations for learning resources that would help them in the areas where my kids struggled. This slide contains a few examples of the types of technology resources you might try to find and make available to students and parents. As the classroom teacher, you are the best person to vet through the plethora of technology resources on the web that support what you are doing in the classroom. By this point, your individual post should offer the following 2 suggestions. Identify 2 free web-based technology resources that would be useful for students and parents in your class, and determine 2 educational uses for Excel. The audience for these resources is students or parents. Explanations about the resources you recommend should be written in kid-parent-friendly language. Do not summarize the features of the technology resource or explain its pros and cons. This would not earn any points on the rubric. Instead, explain to the parent and the child directly how a technology resource will help them in your class. Again, it's okay to modify existing content on the web. You do not have to start from scratch, but all content must be within the classroom context agreed upon by the team. Now your team will reach a consensus and build the agreed upon items on any of the 4 remaining content pages on the website. Once the items are built on the website, add a journal entry that tells me where on your website to find the items posted on this slide. Here are a couple of ideas you may want to consider. Feel free to come up with a method that works for your grant writing team. Excuse me, we're not writing a grant. Your teacher classroom website team. Find a method that works for your team. You can use the 5-star rating system for voting. It's a functionality within the discussion board that you can use to identify popular suggestions. To rate a suggestion, simply click on a star. The first star on the left is equivalent to a score of 1 out of 5, and the last star on the right is equivalent to a score of 5 out of 5. You can use a spokesperson approach. A leader can assume the responsibility of proposing a solution based on the contributions, and the leadership role can be rotated. Whatever method you choose, don't allow any one person to keep the team's consensus from being published to the group's journal space. Anyone on the team can do this. Credit toward the team's effort is determined by timely posting of your individual ideas and the assignment rubric. Before you submit your responses to the guided exercises, review the assignment rubric. To ensure you earn the highest possible score for your contributions this week, make sure your response contains all the items in the exemplary column. The items added to the website do not have to be completely built or finished this week. There will be time allotted during week 7 to finish building the website. Here's a recap of the criteria for your individual post. Identify 2 free web-based technology resources that would be useful for students and parents in your class. Determine 2 educational uses for Excel. I'll be keeping a watchful eye on your team's interactions. Should you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to let me know.